The magic of pathways is so important to understand when creating your own garden. There are a couple of things that we need to know, is that pathways need to lead somewhere. And it makes sense, but sometimes when we're designing our gardens or playing around in them, we kind of just don't get that. Remember, it's got to lead to something special. It's got to lead you somewhere. So a pathway can't end abruptly against a fibercrete wall or just against a fence. It needs to be a journey. And if you encourage that within your thinking, you'll be amazed at how a small garden and even a big garden can become such an adventuring space. The pathway is also important because they interconnect different garden rooms. So whether you're from a succulent area or lawn area going into the kitchen garden, pathways are those perfect breathing spaces. And it just says to you, stop, take a deep breath, all right? We're moving into somewhere different, almost like an arch does or a doorway does within a home. So think about those applications when putting in your pathways. So what do we use in our pathways? Well, there are various applications that you can use. Just like where I am here, this is a beautiful wide pathway, 1.2 meters. If you want two people to be able to walk together down a pathway, it's got to be more than a meter. It really has to be, or else you kind of like, one always wants to take the lead and one's behind them, and then it becomes like a really bad marriage. So make sure that your pathway is wide enough, especially if you do want to encourage multiple people, more than one person, to be able to walk down it at a time. Just like underfoot here, what I've got is a little gravel. It's a very fine gravel. I call it a bonsai gravel, and it's under 5 mils. Very, very small. And this makes for beautiful walking. And even the pups don't mind it. As soon as you start getting to larger gravel, people barefoot and little fur kids really don't enjoy it. But underneath here is weed guard, which has been put down to stop the weeds from coming through. What it also does is, of course, stops your pebbles disappearing into the soil, which is very, very important. So gravel is one application. Another application that you can simply use is by putting down various pieces of slate. Now this could just be a random paver. It doesn't have to be anything amazing, as in the finished material that you're using. It could be a leftover roof tile. It could be anything. It could be a piece of wood, a disc that's been cut off a tree. There are various applications that you can use for pathways. Those pathways I consider more little adventure-y. It's not for two people to walk down, it's a little meander. It's driving you somewhere, and it's more intimate. It's more in a closed space that you want to be able to go into and follow. Another great design element when working in your garden, even if your garden is flat, is to create walls, because that gives you interest. It allows you to walk from one area into another area, not only with your plants being the dramatic part of it, but raising the levels. So you're immediately on a different platform, not only from looking up, but probably the best view is when you're up and you're looking down. And by using that in your garden, no matter also how big or small, you can really transform a very ordinary space into something quite extraordinary. But another application for walls is exactly what we've done here. We had cut down a tree, and I thought, well, instead of lugging it all away, why not build a wall? And it worked out beautifully by putting them together, stacking them in some kind of orderly fashion. First of all, I've got a great insect hotel. They're starting to break down, fall away. It just adds beautiful character. And not only that, but it looks spectacular with these low-growing ground covers, changes in textures, the gold against the brown, these little ornithogalums. That's a little chinkery-chi, a miniature chinkery-chi. Too cute. Against that, I simply just love it. And not only do the hojos love it, but the dogs really enjoy jumping all over here. Other applications for walls, you could use dry stacked walls, so that would be rock. And of course, one of the most effective ways is by taking treated poles and lying them against each other, either horizontally or placing them vertically, depending on the height that you're going. And once again, a simple DIY project that anybody could do to raise an area.